We did it! We actually helped to get a multi-billion-dollar company to reverse a weird decision that they had recently made. In just my last video, I covered a story about AMD quietly removing support for a feature called TSME, or Transparent Secure Memory Encryption, from consumer Ryzen processors. The feature had been available on Ryzen CPUs for years, but after a newer Agisa firmware update, users discovered that it simply wasn't working anymore. And like I said in that video, the problem wasn't even necessarily the removal of the feature itself. Most consumers likely never used it. The issue was that AMD removed a security feature without really telling anyone. People only found out after a security researcher noticed that his system was suddenly reporting that encrypted memory was no longer supported. After digging into the system, it became pretty clear that AMD had effectively removed the feature, making it only available for Ryzen Pro processors. Well, after pointing this out, AMD has now reversed course. According to a news statement provided to Tom's Hardware, AMD says that they will restore the memory guard feature, which is their own branding for TSME, on affected non-Pro Ryzen 9000 processors through an upcoming BIOS update scheduled for July. Now, the most interesting part here is really AMD's explanation. The company specifically stated that it's bringing back the feature based on what it calls, quote, valuable community feedback. Basically, enough people complained to AMD that they actually did something about it. Now, I know a lot of people's first instinct can be to wonder why they did it in the first place, to be mad that they didn't say anything when it was changed, and those are certainly valid concerns, they really are. But this is a W, and we have to be happy that AMD did this, because what tends to happen a lot of times is that a company will do something their customers don't like. They then reverse it due to feedback, but people still aren't happy. This makes for a terrible feedback loop that ends with us never getting what we want. Basically, companies feel like they can't win and begin doing whatever they want anyway. So while AMD probably deserves criticism for removing the feature in the first place, they also deserve some credit for admitting that the community had a point and bringing it back. So let me be the first to say thank you for correcting your mistake. So I only needed about 5 seconds to make a list of things I've lost in just the last few weeks. My laptop bag, my keys, my phone charger, a camera, the vacuum, my flamethrower. Now, what do all these things have in common? They can all be found using this new tracker by today's sponsor, Ugreen. It's the Ugreen Fine Track 2, and its soccer-inspired design is just in time for the World Cup. But it's not just round to look good. The compact design, along with the built-in loop, means you can attach it to just about anything, even a flamethrower. It's also Apple Find My certified. It has smart separation alerts, plus a massive 600 mAh battery for up to 2,700 finds. Oh, and one iPhone can keep track of up to 32 items, so even I should be good. If this isn't your taste though, don't worry. Ugreen also has their Fine Track Mini 2 trackers that come in a 4-pack at a great price. And these bad boys are super loud. Basically, don't be like me and actually keep track of your valuable possessions with Ugreen's Fine Track 2 and Fine Track Mini 2 by visiting my link in the description below. And speaking of AMD actually listening to fans, the company just today officially launched FSR 4.1 on RDNA 3 GPUs early. Remember that they initially planned to launch for July, but here we are at the end of June. They also confirmed another awesome announcement, but I'll get to that in a second. First, as you can see, AMD claims that they tested it in hundreds of PC configurations, from the RX 7600 to the 7900 XTX and everything in between. Not only that, but they claim support in over 300 games. To get yours, you just need the new Adrenalin 26.6.2 driver. I'll have that link down below. That driver also adds day one support for Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced and Doom the Dark Ages Revelations. Not only that, but as you can see in the tweet by AMD's Jack Hoon announcing it, he also speaks to RDNA 3 APU players. We're talking things like the iGPU that's made from RDNA 3.5. He claims that, quote, we're developing lightweight machine learning models to bring FSR 4.1 to even more devices. Basically, AMD is in fact bringing support to APUs, though because he mentions lightweight machine learning models, it sounds like they won't be using the same models that the discrete RDNA 3 cards use. And while it may be frustrating that AMD didn't have the foresight to include better hardware in with their integrated GPUs, it's still great to see AMD doing all they can to bring better upscaling to older hardware. Ultimately, this proves that standing our ground and telling AMD that this is something we really want can actually work. Now, if only Nvidia would start listening as well. One of the biggest leaks ever just dropped for AMD's next-gen Ryzen. I'm talking, if this is true, Intel is doomed. They're done. Gone. The company will have no chance against Ryzen 10,000. So let's just get right to it. This story originally comes from a new leak by Moore's Law is Dead, who apparently spoke to someone within AMD who actually said, quote, "I just came across a powder horn." Now, to interject really quickly, powder horn is apparently the codename for Zen 6 desktop CCDs. Not the full chip itself, but the chiplets. For example, Zen 5 CCD codename was Eldora. Anyway, quote, "I just came across a powder horn document that referenced eventual qualification of samples hitting 7 GHz, meaning that AMD is planning to get qualification samples to hit an unreal 7 GHz. Now, as many of you know, I talked about this possibility a little while back, but that was really early on in the development. This shows that AMD likely already has some very early samples that give them confidence that they'll eventually hit 7 GHz. I'm obviously not saying that they hit 7 GHz yet, but that qualification samples, which are essentially very late stage silicon before the actual production ready silicon, are targeting 7 GHz. So the simple fact is that they're likely getting pretty far in the design of these chips, and if they're still planning to hit 7 GHz with qualification samples, they will likely get there by the retail launch. As the source says, quote, "At a minimum, this confirms that as of H1 2026, we are still targeting at least 7 GHz boost clocks for at least one Zen 6 product." Basically, we may actually see AMD's, say, 10950X30 or 10950X get at least 7 GHz. And that's on top of everything else we already know about next-gen Ryzen, like the fact that it's already confirmed to be built on a brand new node, TSMC's 2 nanometers. That part we know, but it's also about as close to confirmed as it can get that next-gen Ryzen is getting a 50% jump in core count, with max cores going from 16 to 24. And really, I think the biggest improvement will be getting a 10800X30 with 12 cores instead of 8. Basically, next-gen Zen 6 based Ryzen is set to probably be the biggest performance jump since first-gen Ryzen, and Intel should seriously be worried.